As you can see on the bench, we've got all our parts to do that 300 TDI cylinder head. Just going to have a quick inspect of the bits. Why I'm doing this is I just want to have a look at these seals. They've all sort of got a protective coating on them, they're all stuck together. What I was interested in was getting the steely bits out of the way. And I've got a speaker magnet. They're always handy to have, but I've wrapped it in a paper towel and I'm just going to go over the washers, and there are no steel washers in there, so that's looking promising. So gasket, run of the mill, nothing flash, multi-layer shim, that's okay, they're okay. Oop, that one wasn't because it's run away. You might have to degrease these because, like I said, they've got a protective coating on them. Well, at least they are. Oh, maybe not. Maybe that's the colour they're supposed to be. It's like a varnish. Live and learn, don't you? I've got an AMC head. I'm taking it out now because I need the box. Got some instructions there about the cooling system, which we all know that you've got to use coolant, not tap water. So let's have a look at this bad boy. I've got my cardboard box, so I'm happy. That's nice. That looks nice. Yeah, that looks a really nice casting. Nice to see they've actually put the pins in there for the supports for the hold down clamps. Did they put a pressure telltale on? No, they didn't. What we're going to do is silicone on here a telltale, and that means that if it overheats we can say there's no warranty. The guides look good, the head face looks nice. Yep, nothing wrong with that bad boy. Nice to see something new in it. Nice machining, really nice machining. You know, for Spanish people I would have thought they would have just knocked it out with a hammer and chisel. Only joking. Pretty good. They seem to be a nicer finish than the Brit part ones. And they are stamped AMC on here, so that's nice. Yeah, pretty impressive. So, what we have to do now is keep that on the foam until we're ready to fit it. I've got the bolts ready, I've got everything to go. But what we have to do first is strip out the valves off the old head, clean them and put them into this head. Not a big deal. I'll do maybe one or two and then so I've got the valves all cleaned up, been through the sandblaster. They're looking really nice, apart from being on my bench for a little bit, but I haven't washed them yet. There's just oil off my hands. Anyway, so the next thing we've got to do, we've got to clean everything up. But the thing is, we've got to strip this head down because there's bits and pieces on here that we need. Even, you know, so we've got these bolts and bits and bobs and all sorts. And the most important thing we've got to take out is in here. We've got to take the valve seals out and retain, just underneath them is some steel shims, some steel seats for the springs, because if it didn't have those in, the valve spring would eventually wear its way into the head. Not good. So I'm going to figure out a way of getting those off. Well, they didn't take much getting off. I thought they were going to be really tight. Look, they just drop off. That's the problem with TDIs, eh? Look at that. They're actually, look, I can pull them off with my fingers, look. Look at that. They're not good, are they? Well, that one's a bit tight. And that one's a bit tight. Not that much. The problem with these stem seals here is what they'll do is they'll ride up and down with the valve. they'll come off the guide, ride up and down with the valve and act like a little pump and push oil down into the guide, which eventually means burning oil. Not good, so they can go in the scrap. Next thing, we'll get those seats out. Oh, I'll tell you, look, here's my magnet here. This magnet's past its sell-by date as well. That's worse to time. Just think of something else. This may be a bit noisy, and you might not be able to see very well. Compressed air onto the magnet. There's the seat, look. So we've got to get all 8 of those out. Because there's always an easy way, isn't there? Unfortunately, be prepared to get covered in oil. What did I do with that? Oh, there it is. Be prepared to get covered in oil when it blows back on you. Ah, that's better. Right, there you go. Come on. Try not to take them out with pliers or anything like that, because you don't want to bend them. Oh, that was easy, wasn't it? Next thing we've got to take off. We're not bothered about this head, it's knackered anyway. We've got to take these studs out and these studs here, which involves, what we're going to do is double nut them together. We might have covered this in a few videos before, but to get studs out, instead of using Stiltsons, vice grips, mole grips or anything that's going to damage the thread, just get 2 nuts and tighten them together and then just spin them out like that, look. It's time consuming, but you're not going to damage anything. See? And then just take the nuts off and use them again. So you can probably see here I've got a basket of everything that's going in the parts washer. The springs, I was going to say, I put a magnet in there with all the collets on so I don't lose them. The springs and things, well, we're going to measure them up later. Actually, there's a stud in there that goes in there. And then once this is stripped down, now the only downside about the ultrasonic cleaner is the hot water takes a long time to warm up. It's only on 110, the most pathetic voltage in the world, and it takes time for it to heat. So what I'm going to do is blitz through this, get this ready, and then get that cleaned up. In the meantime, I'm jumping on that. I've got two jobs in at the moment because I've got that 90 to finish off, and I've realised I've got to make a special plate for it, and oh, I need my bench. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to transfer everything from here onto another bench, and then we'll come back to this once the parts are clean. The same applies for the studs, anything, just double nut them on. I know it's a bit inconvenient, it's a bit time consuming, but I'm paid by the hour so I don't care. But like I say, take your time, and they do come out. Well, I'll do these ones here and see what these come out like. And try and turn them from the bottom. There you go, look at that, there's nothing in them, is there? Oh, I didn't see that one. Let's do another one. And then you're not damaging stuff, you know. I don't know why they couldn't have put these studs in when they did the head, but never mind. Pay enough for the damned heads. Right, so let's have a go on this one, see? Sometimes you just grab hold of them with your fingers and make sure they aren't slack anyway. Yeah, it's a pity about this head, eh? I mean, I know it's warped and I know it's got a bit of damage on it, but if you're in the middle of a desert or the bush or something like that, and a bush mechanic could plane this down in his milling machine, then you'd use it to get you home. You know, it's fixable to get you home, but not for a long time. Couldn't guarantee it. Right, let me get these studs out. I've got the parts washing in the ultrasonic, and I've got all the bolts swapped over, but I wanted to show you this. You probably are aware of them. We're going to glue this into the back of the head with silicone on the core plug or frost plug, and it's what's called a telltale. And I don't know if you can see very carefully on here, it says warranty void if missing, you know, or does it say missing? Yeah, warranty void if removed. And what happens is that inside there's a little bit of lead, and if the temperature gets hot enough to melt that, well, there's something seriously wrong with the cooling system. So there you go. So we're going to stick that on the back. Where is it here? We're going to stick that on the back of the head with a bit of silicone. You can get sticky ones, you know, sticky back ones, but that's all I've got at the moment. Oh, and if you want to know why we stick them on the back of the head, that gets the hottest. Right, where were we? Right, oh yeah, just had a delivery. Not a baby or anything like that. So, I've put these valves and everything through the parts washer, come out lovely, and now I'm going to cut the valves in the old-fashioned way. We've done this before. Couple of dobs all the way around, nice and even. Do them dry. Don't put any oil on it, because otherwise the grinding paste here will stick to the shaft and can grind the guide. You don't want that. These have got two ends on, coarse and fine. Well, we're only really concerned with fine. A little bit old stuff this, so we're just going to put a little bit of you see the difference when you take off that just a bit of brake cleaner. We'll thin that down. Just keep lifting and turning, lift and separate. And then when you can't hear it anymore, like that, you know it's done its job. Take it out without touching the guide, without touching the seat. Wipe off the seat. Make sure it's all nice and clean. You can't see that, can you? So, up there, look. And you can see there's a nice grey area. And it's exactly the same there. And if you want to double check, put it back in and do it dry. I know it sounds noisy, but then you'll see a nice even ring all the way around there where it's touching. Good, eh? Good, innit? Now, one thing I need to report. These valves, if you can remember, two of the little caps were missing when we stripped this down. Well, two of the intakes were burred over at the end, and that's what those caps are for. Because I had a job trying to extract the valve. When I started to, I thought, oh well, it's nothing really. But when I just dropped it in and it wouldn't go in the guide, so I just had to get a stone and stone off the burr at the top. It's not detrimental, but it's just worth knowing that you don't want to hammer them back into the guides because you'll score the guide. Last thing you want, they're expensive enough as it is. So I'm going to continue with that, get on the parts washer, and yeah, do that. I even put that through the ultrasound, and that ultrasound, I keep it call it ultrasound, ultrasonic, and that seems to have washed out quite nice. Well, you can see they've had problems with this. Look how the gas, look at the rubber O-ring there's all knackered up. It's all flat. No wonder the leak, eh? Let's get on. Once we've got the valve seats cut, we put the seats in, and then we're going to push on the guide seals like that. Make sure they're all nice and flat. All on their feet. They're a nice tight fit. They're pretty good. Do them, and then we'll come back. So next we're going to make sure the The guide shafts are nice and clean. A couple of drops of oil, not too much. Put them into the guide, spin them around, pop them in. Do that for all 8. The next thing we're going to do is fit the springs and the caps and the collets to hold the springs in. This is a bit of a budget job. We didn't order the head with the valves and everything in just to save a bit of money, because I thought that these valves might be in good stead, and the springs especially, 46.28 millimeters is specified in the book, and these are 47.73, so they're actually longer. They must have stretched. So we're going to put those in. We measured them all, and then we shall procure a nice clean cap. Put that on, and then we're going to use our tool. Now I can't go across to the... I'm going to use my drill press to put these in, but I'll show you the tool that I use. So I put a piece of wood on the drill press, and because this is a flat head and flat valves, all you do is push the valve against the piece of wood and it won't go anywhere. And this is the little gizmo that I just knocked up, a big washer and a bolt, and then what you can do is press that down and you can compress your spring and then drop your collets in really easy. You know, it's just a matter of a pair of needle nose pliers and drop them in. Pretty easy really. Right, you know, get on with it. So I've built this head up as far as I can. I've just brought the vehicle in to warm up because it's about -6 today, so I'm not going to work on it when it's really cold, and I'll just let the shop warm up. But it's done. It's done as far as we can go, and I'm just going to get my mate Marvin to come and give me a hand to do this job. What do you think, Marvin?